Why do you think people should trade and look at trading as a way of building wealth?
Well, the bigger question is, why should you not trade? It's worse than gambling. It's worse than any drug you've done. You're not going to the casino. The casino is on your phone. It's on your computer. In a second, you got your money at risk. But why not have like set amounts that, okay, if my balance goes to here, I'm going to sell. Because here's the thing, market does not owe us a thing.
What do you think is more important for trading, strategy or psychology?
I would say psychology is going to be much more important. You know, what's more important to have like a fit body, a good diet, right? But a lot of people stress on the workout, right? But if your diet is good, even working out 30 minutes a day for like 3 times a week, you're going to be good. When you tell your family the things you're trying to do out of love, they will try to talk you out of it, because they don't want us to suffer, because they love us, but deep down inside we think, oh, they're jealous, or they don't support us, or they're like this and this. No, it all comes from a point of love, because they'll always tell you, hey, listen, don't start this business, it's risky. If it was so lucrative, everyone would do it. Go get this job, it's secure income.
So you want to learn the secrets about growing wealth through trading and investments. Today I'm joined by Roger Banks. Roger has a huge amount of experience in terms of from trading, particularly in forex markets. You put out a ton of educational content. I can see help loads and loads of people, and you've gone through quite the journey yourself. We also spoke a little bit before this about Trump meme coins and what's going on in the crypto markets, which is something we'll go through. First question I'd ask, why do you think people should trade and look at trading as a way of building wealth?
Well, the bigger question is, why should you not trade? Because whenever someone asks me, bro, like, okay, how can I get into trading? I'm just like, man, don't even bother, right? Like, because this is something which will encapsulate you. It's worse than gambling. It's worse than any drug you've done. Because the thing over here is, you're not going to the casino. The casino is on your phone. It's on your computer. In a second, you got your money at risk. Right? So I think people who are looking into this, the only people who should be coming into trading are the ones who really want to learn this, learn it for a passion, right? Like, because when we get people to come in and they're like, okay, you know what? I saw this guy make 10,000 or 100,000 or whatever amount of money. They say, I want to make the same amount of money. But if you come here chasing money, it's never going to work. So you need to have a passion to learn that, okay, I want to really learn price action. I want to learn candles. I want to know if Trump says something or someone tweets XYZ, how's that's going to affect the markets. I want to really understand that. Because once you have true understanding of anything, you're just going to grow naturally in it.
Quick interjection into the podcast. If you're an online coach who's looking to scale the business, get their first 5K month, 10K month, or even get to 50 to 100K a month, we have helped hundreds of trainers do this at this point, and I've personally generated over $14 million online in the fitness industry. We have a proven methodology that works, provided you're willing to do the work. Now, if you want to book in a free business audit, we'll break down exactly where you are now, where you want to go, and what's currently holding you back. Hit the link below this video and below the podcast to find exactly how we can help you. Pick a time, and we will walk you through the process of where your business is at and what exponential growth looks like. Now, back to the podcast. With that, I think the biggest issues of people chasing money, I presume, is the emotion around that, which is why they make rash decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, I mean, if you're coming from a background of where you never made, let's say, more than 100,000 a year, right? And now you have this opportunity where you can, with leverage, you can put your money at risk. The thing is, I think naturally people don't want to accept that they're wrong. Because when you take a trade and you lose the trade, now you think that, okay, I lost the trade, let's chase this loss back, or let's make this loss back, right? You take another trade and you lose that trade. Now the third time you're thinking, okay, I took 2 trades, I lost those 2 trades, let's increase the risk and let's make these 2 losses back, and the chances are you're going to lose that 3rd trade. The 4th trade you might win, but then the 5th trade, you're going to lose again. So now you're going into the spiral of loss and loss and loss and loss. And then your wife or your girlfriend, your mom and dad needs you downstairs. So what the fuck are you going to do? Now you're going to be like, shit, I lost money. I got to go grocery shopping. I got to go help my mom. I got to go to the gym. Like, it's all like mental, like, it's like a cyclone going in your mind. So I think people lack a lot of discipline. You know, it's like the same thing. If you go to the gym, you're going to go to the gym maybe like an hour, 2 hours max. There's this mindset, no, I got to stay there for 4 or 5 hours so I can build muscle fast. Not going to work. Trading, same thing.
I think the most difficult emotion to control is greed. So I mentioned you before, I'm trading Solana a bit, and I set like buy and sell targets.
Yeah.
And then it starts to get the price where I'm selling, I'm like, oh, I'm going to sell because it's just going to keep going. And I'm like, just don't touch it. And I think that's like a saying, like it's like set and forget. Just set it up with your original plan and just leave it alone. Because I think, do you think people try and overtrade?
People overtrade a lot. They overtrade a lot because it's so accessible. You know, I don't remember, like my buddy, he's been trading since 1993, 94, much older than me. And he told me that in the 90s, when you had to open up an order, you had to send the order to somebody and then they would execute it for you. And then you would get a memo back. And this process took like 15 minutes to get that done, right? Now, when you have technology, within seconds, your money is going in and out, in and out, in and out. So it's very easy to overtrade. And the more you overtrade, the more your chances of losing money and making money increases. But most of the time, you lose money. And I'll tell you why. Because in trading, when you have a loss, right, that affects you negatively rather than when you have a win. Like when you have a win, your emotions are going to be, okay, I want money. But when you lose, your emotions are going to be way up high over here. You know, they have to be bad. When you win, emotions have to be here. When you lose, they have to be here. If there's some discrepancy of losing, emotions are here, that's when you start overthinking, you start overtrading, you start to overanalyze, you even start to question your whole strategy, which is profitable, but you start to question, oh man, I took this one loss because I overtraded, I lost more money. This strategy is garbage now. So let me learn something new. And that's where, like, you know, traders, they get confused in the beginning.
And do you think that's because then they start jumping around, trying different strategies and trying to do too many different things at that point, not sticking to one type of plan?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the same thing as, like, you know, if someone joins your mentorship, right? And the first thing you're going to say, okay, like, you know what? You got to stick to the program for a couple of months. But if you mentor hop, you're going to be hopping for the rest of, like, you know, how many years? So you can't mentor hop. You can't hop strategies because you got to give one thing a set amount of time for you to have some data that, okay, if this works, it doesn't work, let me see how it is. You know, then after a while, then you can not like change the strategy, but you can add something to what you already know.
What's your process in terms of trading, in terms of working out if something's a good trade to make? So even something I was thinking about this morning, we actually set some trades up at 5 a.m.
What the hell are you doing at 5 a.m.?
I was up at 5 a.m. And also I knew Trump's inauguration, which is something coming today. So like, so Bitcoin, I think, just hit an all-time high in the last hour or so, I think. So I think it's, I knew there'd be a lot of things going on today, so I was on it this morning, and I got up very early. One of the things I was thinking is almost like writing out a summary to myself of why this trade is a good idea and what the profit and loss would. Almost like I have to explain it to myself rather than be like impulse phone bang 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 with like huge amounts of money.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good thing that you do. And that's what we tell people as well in our academy. We're like, listen, if you lose a trade, go over that trade, right? Look to see how could you have had a lower loss, you know, because there's always a way you can lower your loss, right? If you won a trade, look at that trade and just explain to yourself, how could you have had a better entry? Because having a better entry will mean you will have a bigger return. And there's always room for improvement. What most people do is if you're taking like 7-8 trades, you're not going to go over 7-8 trades because 1, you're going to be embarrassed. 2, you're going to be like, man, what did I do all day today? I took 8 trades, I lost all of them. I'm not going to look at them because it's embarrassing now. But if you're focusing on 1 or 2 trades, it's easy to revise them, learn from them. And then 2 weeks down the road, you're going to know that, okay, you know what? I took this one trade 2 weeks ago. I went over it. This is the same thing happening now, so I'm better prepared to execute on it.
Do you think people should focus on trading either like one pair of currencies or one crypto coin so they start to understand like the movement patterns of how that price fluctuates and specify more in one thing rather than trying to trade multiple different assets essentially?
Bro, crypto, I don't know, like regular cryptos or meme coins?
Regular crypto. Meme coins is a whole other like
it's
game.
a whole other thing.
No one is a
It's a whole other thing. But like, yeah, like you have to focus on just one thing, you know, like if you're trading, let's say, like I primarily now I trade gold.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, I dabble in pound yen here in a little bit, but mostly it's just gold. I'm slowly getting into indices, US 30, NAS 100. But like, you know, the thing is, if you're going to choose a currency pair to trade, you have to just focus on that one currency pair for at least 4 or 5 months, just to understand the dynamics of the movements, you know, across months and news and FOMCs and CPIs, all these high volatile news we have. Because the idea is you need to be a master at one currency. That's it. Because to be honest, every currency has its own personality in every session. London session, New York session, Asian session. So if you're going to choose, let's say gold, right? You're going to choose gold. Okay, I'm going to master gold, but I'm going to trade gold in all the sessions. It's not going to work because gold may move differently in London, may move differently in New York. Your life situation may be different in London than it is in New York, right? Like in New York time here, evening time, you may be at the gym. You're not going to look at gold while you're doing drop sets.
Well, it's like I said to you about the Trump meme coin. I was like, I can see what's happening, but I'm in the cinema. I'm like, well, I can't.
You're in the cinema
because it's just too difficult to go and buy. Like,
yeah, exactly. So if people ask me, like, you know, they say, okay, Raja, you're great at trading, whatever. What do you think is going to happen at your USD? I have no idea. But if you ask me about gold, I'll tell you what's going to happen at gold, because the idea is not to be the best at all the pairs and sessions. The idea is to be a master of just one pair and one session. That's how you make money.
Well, you just need to be really good at one asset and you can make as much money as you want, essentially, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, you know, like, let's say you start dating this girl or whatever, right? You start dating and then you find out that, okay, in the morning, this person is easier to talk to. In the evening, I'm not going to talk to this person because it's a different vibe. Currency pairs, the same. Exactly the same. Slowly, you start to understand the dynamics of morning, evening, afternoon, and then you start to get along. But in the beginning, it's important just to switch to one time, one pair. That's it.
What do you think is the big difference between trading, say, for example, forex gold versus something like cryptocurrency? And do you think because crypto is so volatile in terms of how quickly something can move, I think Solana went out like 25% at one point yesterday in a day, that you don't need to maybe even leverage with that, because if you've got enough capital, say you put 100 grand in, it goes up 25% over 2 weeks. That's a decent profit.
That's 25,000.
Yeah.
To be honest, I never got into crypto day trading.
Yeah.
I've only been focused on forex.
Yeah.
Gold has been amazing. Made some great returns on gold. Because of that, I never dabbled into crypto. I think another reason was because whenever I looked at crypto, it would already make a high. So I'm like that taxi driver who would say, oh, look, Ethereum is at high now. You know, I'm going to buy, you know. But then I realized, no. It's already at high. I'm way too late. So it's like one of those things like, let's say Trump meme coin, Trump coin, right? If someone saw Trump coin at $8, they would start to think, okay, started from nothing. It's at 8. It's already at a high. How high can it go? You know, who knows? You buy it 8, goes to 16. Okay, wow, meme coin, 16, way too high now. Sell. You wake up next morning, it's like $50. You're like, what's happening over here?
How important do you think it is to make sure you actually take profit? So for example, if you look at crypto in the last bull run, I was in massive profit, up hundreds of thousands. And I was like, oh, it's just a dip. And then it just kept dipping and dipping and dipping. So I bought some Solana at like 250 in 2021.
Yeah.
It went all the way back down to 12, where I just kept buying it again because I'm like, well, this is a massive discount. If it goes to 0, well, I'm but like, I've already bought it here, so I might as well buy it here.
Yeah.
And it's now back up to, I think it's 290 something yesterday.
So when you were up hundreds and thousands, what made you not take profit?
Greed.
That's a huge amount.
Yeah, but greed, because I thought it was going to keep going. And the war in Ukraine happened.
Till where?
Yeah, but that's the thing is and that's now where I'm putting in processes to make sure with like set points in my strategy that I have to sell, and it's already set up. Otherwise, you won't sell. That I find it's difficult. You think it's going to keep going, and it's like a never-ending merry-go-round.
So you have like a set price that you will sell.
Yes, so like separate prices. All
Separate price. But why not have like set amounts that, okay, if my balance goes to here, I'm going to sell. Because here's the thing, market does not owe us a thing. Right? Like this is what I see with traders all the time too. They're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to have my TP at this level, and if it hits that level, I'm going to exit.
Yeah.
But then I say, okay, fine, no problem. why don't you say that, okay, instead of having my TP here, I'm gonna secure majority of my positions at X amount and then leave a small portion run to my TP.
Yeah.
You know, because if it runs to a TP, you'll be like, okay, awesome, it hit my TP. But if it comes to your TP and barely scrapes it and just returns, man, you're gonna be heartbroken if you have all your shit running at the same time, right? So that's why I'm kind of like, you know, like I'm just trying to understand, like, why don't you just aim for like a number, secure most, and let a small hit your.
That's sort of what I'm doing, is like phasing out as I go, but also looking at it over like. My goal is to be out by May, June fully, because the crypto market normally tends to pull back a lot in the summer, and also the way I think about crypto is like it's like musical chairs. So like Bitcoin is the music. When the music stops, if you haven't got chair, you're f***ed. So and that's what happened to me in the last bull run. And I have PTSD there from that last time. So I'm like I've got a set like in my calendar every month. Review crypto market, like sell X%, like regardless of what's going on, but also like. Take profits a certain amounts, like scaling out on the way up. But what I find is interesting, and I don't know if a lot of people listening to this, but relate, so drop it in the comments, that is, even say Solana was ripping it yesterday, and I started having big sell-offs and big amounts of money coming, I'm like, I don't want to sell because it's going to keep going. But in my head, I'm like, remember this happened last time, so just take the money,
Yeah. It's saying, like, you know, I think we got to be okay with securing profits and then letting price keep on ripping. Just got to be okay with that. You know, in the beginning, it's very difficult, you know, when it's like, I don't know, when you look at the chart and it's just rallying, it starts to gallop like a horse. Like, that's what momentum, I look at it. Yeah, momentum. Like the price just goes to the very top of your screen, and the screen comes down, keeps on going up and up and up. And you're like, man, keep on going. But like, that's the thing, like psychologically, it's very entertaining to watch, because you just say at the end of the day, it's just numbers on the screen, right? But then it's you really have to work on yourself a lot mentally. Say, okay, you know, I'm going to secure here, and I don't care where it goes after that. I don't care. I'm happy with what I got. And I think if a lot, and man, like a lot of traders have some great trades. It's just that little barrier they can't break. That, okay, I'm happy with what I have. Let's close it. And if it goes to wherever, good for that. You know, so
how did you learn to handle emotions from that respect? Like, what was the biggest loss you've had, the biggest challenge?
Losing a lot of money. I realized, you know, there's no benefit in watching your amounts go up and then come down. You know, there's no benefit in that. I think the biggest loss, monetary loss, was about like 51,000. It didn't really affect me at all, because, you know, at that time I've already built my account to a certain size. It had like more than half a million. But the biggest emotional loss was about like a $4,600 loss. That's the biggest emotional loss I had, because I had a $12,000 account at that time, and it was Asian Open, and gold was at resistance, and I thought it's going to break it because it was rallying. So I entered a bunch of buys, price retrace, went in drawdown, entered more buys, and my $12,000 account went down to like 8,000, and then like around like 7,300, I closed at like a $4,500 loss, and I was crying. I was so sad, because that was all the money I had. All the money. My bank at that time, I think it had like, you know, like $800, $900. So I put everything in trading account. So imagine losing $4,500. You know, you're like, man, the shit I could do with that money. So emotionally, that affected me the most. You know, so there's a difference of emotionally losing and like a financial loss.
How long ago was that?
This was like back in 2016 when I first started. You know, and then and that was the point I realized the importance of money, because once you see money on the screen, it's just whatever numbers, you know. But if I had that 4,500 in my hand, I would never let it slip away like that. You know, I'd let it slip like $200-300, but then I'm like, no, back in the pocket. You know, so that's the dangers when you're looking at a screen, just digits. Like, who cares?
Do you think that at some point, probably not so relevant to maybe some of the other markets, but crypto in particular, if you're up a certain percentage, just take the money, like 100, 200, 300%, like you're up massively anyway. Quit while you're ahead, like,
just
95% of people lose.
Just take it. Like, you know, even if you fight, like the thing about meme coins is you can 5x, 10x, you know, like that. Just take it out. Like, you know, if you have $10, don't expect that $10 to go to 100,000. That's a unicorn move. You know, like with Trump, we had it with the Shiba Inu. Like those are like unicorn.
Dogecoin.
Yeah, Dogecoin. Like I say, this is something I was talking to my buddy of mine. He's big in meme coins. So I'm like consulting with him now. Like I want to trade them. And he's like, man, like normally if you 5x your money, get out. You know, don't, and get out, calm down, and then look for something else.
What's your process in terms of, say, learning something like meme coins? So a lot of people listen to this might be getting inspired or maybe put off by the volatility of some of these things. What do you think is the best process for someone to look to master the art of trading?
See, what I would do is, now I'm trying to learn meme coins now, and I'm going to buy a course. I'm going to buy someone's course. You know, without buying a course, you're never going to make money. Well, you will, but your learning curve is going to be so faster if you get a course, right? And this someone whom I'm buying a course from, he's like, you know, doing well, got money, this and that. And like, you know, some people, like, I know the mentality is that, okay, you know what? I'm not going to buy this guy's course because then he's going to use that money to buy a watch or buy a car or whatever. But hey, listen, you're going to learn something. You know, when I started trading, I bought a course. I bought a course because I blew my first account in a week. And I'm like, well, you know what? I need to learn this from someone who's already doing it. So I bought his course, you know, and I started learning. So now I'm doing the same thing with meme coins. I'm going to buy someone's course. He's a young guy, but hey, you can still learn from young people because this is something I don't know. So like, same as you, like, you know, you have your own education, your own course, like, you know, because you really lower that learning pace. So if you're new, buy someone's course. You know?
I think that's the best advice you can give, because the biggest tax you'll pay in life is ignorance.
Yes.
And it's the arrogance of not asking someone for help, which is when you'll then pay a huge price in terms of blowing out your crypto account or your business failing, or you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like me, I lost a substantial amount last year because I didn't know the difference between a hot wallet and a cold wallet. Imagine.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that shit. You know, I had money in the hot wallet and it got stolen. It got hacked and it got stolen. And my friends kept telling me, man, get a cold wallet, get a cold wallet. I'm like, I can't be arsed enough to look into what's a cold wallet when it's so simple.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
when you actually do it, it's really easy. Yeah.
Yes, really, because I'm like, I don't want to go through the problem moving this money over there. Like, screw that. But once I got hit, I was like, man, what an expensive lesson. And that was a lesson for ignorance, basically. And once I really got the cold wallet, transferred the fund to it, this was easy. It was so safe.
It's funny you say that, because I had a similar experience I actually mentioned earlier, in terms of I had a MetaMask wallet hacked for about 15K, and I literally made a trade for some like slightly ropey small caps. And then the next day I went to go and look, and it was gone. Someone had hacked the wallet on the exchange.
Wow.
And that for me, I was like, and I was like, I knew I should have put everything on a cold wallet and set this up. And I was like, imagine if that happened to all of my crypto. I was like,
yeah,
I would be devastated. So I was like, I have to do this straight away. So then
like
sort
that,
it out.
Like, not in your stomach.
Yeah, like, makes me feel sick.
You're like, man, it was just wild.
With that, what other types of experiences can people try to avoid from the trading experience you have? Like, what are the other big red flags people should look out for? Like over leveraging?
Yeah, over leveraging. I think the biggest one is not to follow someone's analysis. You know, because in the beginning, when now I can only talk about my own experiences, and I think there are a lot of guys who can relate to that. When I first started in the beginning, we were in a group, you know, and more times I would just execute on my own analysis. If I lose, I win, whatever, no problem. You know, water under the bridge. But the problem happened when I was following someone else's analysis, who I looked up to, thinking that, okay, if my analysis is saying buys, this guy who knows more than me, has made more money than me, he's saying sells, probably right. You know, so I would take his sells and I would lose. And then I would say, oh man, I lost its money because of you. I follow your analysis. He's like, I didn't tell you to click the button. I didn't tell you to sell. You just sold on your own. So I think that's what new traders need to stop doing, to follow someone else's analysis, because then you start to get this what's the word, envy? No, not and like you,
bitterness, resentment.
Yeah, bitterness, resentment. Like you start to resent the guy because you're like, I followed his analysis, he's supposed to be good, and I lost money because I over leveraged, I over traded, you know. So that's something traders have to stop doing. Just follow your analysis, because if you win or lose, you're going to learn something from it, right? And over leveraging is also another thing. Like now on our brokerage, Dominion Markets, a lot of people ask for a higher leverage, like 1 to 500, 1 to 1,000. And I'm like, man, if you're looking at a 1 to 500 leverage, it's like you're staring at a big 12 gauge shotgun. Like you don't need that leverage. Most people need 1 to 100. That's it. Even if our our prime liquidity providers, they give us a leverage of 1 to 100. And that's something we pass along. But when clients come in, we need like 1 to 1,000. Like, no, you're not a good client for us. Because having a 1 to 1,000, it's wild.
What do you think is more important for trading, strategy or psychology?
I would say psychology is going to be much more important. It's just like, what's more important to have like a fit body, a good diet, right? But a lot of people stress on the workouts, right? But if your diet is good, even working out 30 minutes a day for like 3 times a week, you're going to be good. So psychology matters a lot, because if you're in a good psychological state when you're trading, you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I will only execute on an opportunity if I see one. You see an opportunity, you execute on it, win or loss, whatever. You're like, all right, cool, I'm done. Let's go do things with the family or whatever I have to do and come back the next day. That's a good psychology, right? But if you're the kind of person who's going to say, okay, you know what, I have a great psychology, but I'll trade all the sessions. That's not going to work, because you're going to win in the morning and then you're going to come in the afternoon. You're going to lose in the afternoon. Then you're going to go at nighttime with this made up good psychology. And it's just going to be like a big circle of mess.
Is there anything you do to get yourself in the right frame of mind for trading so you're sharp and focused? And is there any type of state you try to avoid? So for example, for me, I have like a rule that if I'm tired, it's late at night, I'm not allowed to do it, because I tend to make shitty decisions. And
you meditate?
No, but I journal when I wake up in the morning.
Oh, okay.
So like that's my form of like active meditation almost.
What's your views on people say, I'm going to sit in a quiet room for like 10 minutes and meditate?
I think there's a lot of value for some people, but I think it depends on your personality. So for me, I almost have like active meditation. For me, is like putting pen to paper and just letting my brain flow of like how I think, how I feel.
Oh, okay.
So for me, that's a way to do that, but do it in a physical realm.
Yeah, okay. Meditation. No, for me, it's just like if there's something needs to be done, just have to do it.
Yeah.
I have to do it, because I tried meditating. This was back in the beginning. I tried meditating. Like, it's all Muslim, right? So we pray 5 times a day, whatever. So praying is our meditation. Like, you're concentrated, you're praying, whatever, meditate. I would be in a drawdown. I'd be in a drawdown. I'm like, shit, I'm in a drawdown. Shit, okay. Let's go pray. Real quick, let's go pray. Sat down praying, prayer mat, and then after praying, like, so they're praying, okay, like, please God, like, this is going good, blah, blah. Come back to the charts. And the drawdown is even more massive. Even bigger drawdown. And my buddy said, okay, you know what, like, try this subtle way of sitting quietly and meditating. I'm like, all right, I'll try that. I tried that. Did not help with trading at all, because trading and the markets and the price movements, it's totally disconnected from what you do in your free time. It doesn't matter at all. So I realized was that, okay, if something needs to be done, you just have to proactively do it. That's it. There's no way around it.
And that's why I said to like, I try not write a logical thesis of why I think something's going to happen, as if I have to justify to myself, like, why do you think you can buy this and why do you think it's going to work? And actually explain it and take 5 minutes to do it, rather than like sit around and sing Kumbaya and like hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have mental conversations with yourself?
Yeah, a lot. So a lot of the time it's, in particular, thinking back about if it's trading, for example, how I've made big mistakes before. So like, I don't know if you can think this, but I can like phase back to a specific moment in time where I probably made the worst trade I ever did. I bought Decentraland. This was dumb. So I was like trading in and out of Decentraland on crypto.
Decentraland?
Yeah, this was like 3 years ago with like 50K, and I was just like scraping like 10, 20K profit each time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just keep putting the profit to the side. And then I was like, I'm going to put it all in. And then the market just crashed and it never came back. So like that was like 50K is now worth about 5.
Yeah.
And I still have it.
That whole world went to shit.
Yeah, bro, it's bad. Yeah. And I think for me, a lot of the way I think is pain is knowledge really fast, because I've made a lot of mistakes before. I've now learned from them to some degree, and I'm trying to be slower and more conscious of what I do. Or if I find I'm getting a bit irrational chasing money, I'll be like, you're not allowed to touch it. Just like leave it for a week and then just come back.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I talk to myself a lot. Like, you know, sometimes my wife's gonna look at me and I'm just mumbling. She said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm just like, I was just thinking about something." You know, so I like to talk to myself a lot. Like, even when I'm looking at the charts, I'm like talking to myself. I'm trying to explain things to myself. If I'm in the gym, I'm just like, you know, talking to myself. Like, if I like this morning, I did a chest. It was a chest day today, and I was doing these cables, flies, like standing flies. So I was doing like lower, middle, and upper. So I'm just talking to myself that, okay, 4 more. Okay, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay, Raja, come on, Raja Banks, and 2, 3. So I like to like talk to myself just to hype myself a little bit more. If I win a trade, I talk to myself like, okay, like, you know, you did good, you did great, you exited at the right time, it's awesome. If I lose a trade, if I'm risking, let's say, 1,000 on a trade, you know, my goal is to lose less than 1,000. Never I'm going to lose one. Sometimes it's going to happen, probability, you're not going to get an opportunity to manage risk, but most times I'll lose less than 1,000. And if I lose less than 1,000, to me, that's a win. Because I have won because I managed my risk, and I've talked to them, I'm like, Raja, like, you know, you did great. You lost less than you wanted to lose. Now you have that buffer to put into another trade. You know, because if your daily loss is 2%, you lost 1.5, now you got 0.5 left to do whatever with it. Either you can take it back home because, like, you know, now you got some chips left, or you can just gamble those chips in somewhere else. But this way, I keep myself from not over trading.
Do you feel then you almost coach yourself in that type of process? I think one of the things that you said there is really interesting is positive reinforcement, because I think a lot of the times you might do a trade that's good, but you're like not that bothered.
Yeah.
But then when it goes to shit and it goes wrong, you beat yourself up quite heavily, which then puts you in like a downward spiral from like an energy frequency point of view. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, when I win, I'm just like, perfect, I won today. Because the man, like the thing about the markets is 95, I'm being generous, 95% people lose, you know? So even if you're exiting at $1 profit, you're in the top 5% who won today. Imagine, you fought against the banks, you fought against institutions, hedge funds, traders, algorithms, and you won today. There are people who are closing the day in like $100,000 loss. But even if you're like a $10 profit, $1 profit, you're way better than the 95%. So that's how I look at it. Like, you know, sometimes I'll end the day with like $20,000 profit. Some days I'll end the day at like $12 profit on a $500,000 account, and I'm happy. You know, like sometimes I do these live streams, I make $12. I'm like, guys, we won today. You retard, you won $12. I'm like, yes, of course, I'm in the top 5% now. I'm profitable. Well, the goal is just not to lose. If you don't lose money and you win some, then you're eventually going to keep growing your account, right?
Exactly. Because the greens matter the most. Like, you know, even those greens are small, big, they're the best.
At what point do you think people should look at actually taking money out of their accounts into like the physical realm of the real world as they're generating income through this?
Constantly. Because the big problem is a lot of us, we get sucked into this idea of like compound. Bigger account. And how can I get like the biggest screenshot to show my followers or whatever the man, those people don't care about you. You know, like the biggest difference that came in my trading performance was when I actively started withdrawing money. You know, because the thing is, you can have like $1 million account, you know, like $100,000 account, whatever. But if you're not withdrawing something and using it for your real life, it's not going to matter. Because what I did was, I'm like, okay, you know what, Raja, you're good, you're trading, whatever, but how are you using these amounts? You know, and it all started from that, okay, I'm going to withdraw $100 a month and I'm going to pay my internet bill or my phone bill or my car insurance, whatever. You start to do that, then you're like, okay, you know what, this is actually sick because I'm printing money from the air, I'm paying my internet bill. You do that for a couple of months, then the 6th month, you withdraw $2,000, you pay a rent or you pay your mortgage. And now you're like, man, this is awesome. That's how you basically become financially secure, because now trading is paying for your expenses and the money you're making from your work is just compounding your bank account. So your bank account has to compound faster than your trading account.
What you said there just made me smile, because it reminded me when I first set my online fitness business. Probably the most exciting point was I started making like £1,000, £1,100 a month, and it paid my mortgage. Like, well, my house is paid for.
Yes.
And which for a lot of people is a huge thing they want.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I think sometimes it's good to break it up into smaller goals. And I think one of the things people try to do sometimes is they try to run before they can walk, and is you need to take like baby steps up the ladder rather than throw the kitchen sink in particular, something where you can lose.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely right, man. And let me tell you, like once you withdraw something and use it for real life, that feeling is so insane. You tell your parents, look, this internet bill I paid from this trading, which you said to me is a scam. How is this a scam? We're paying our bills now, and that's just awesome. Once you get to that level, it's so, like the freedom you get is just insane.
What did your family think when you started trading, and what do they think now?
And they had no idea I was trading. They had no idea that I lost $100,000 in the first year. They had no idea I lost in crypto. I told them when I was buying my house, our first property we bought in Canada, when I was buying that, they're like, oh, wow, you're working, doing good. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this trading, whatever. And that's how they understood. They still don't know what trading is, but they know that, okay, I'm running some business. That's how what they know. Because, man, to be honest, in the beginning, when you tell your family the things you're trying to do, out of love, they will try to talk you out of it. Because they don't want us to suffer, because they love us, but deep down inside we think, oh, they're jealous, or they don't support us, or they're like this and this. No, it all comes from a point of love, because they'll always tell you, hey, listen, don't start this business. It's risky. If it was so lucrative, everyone would do it. Go get this job. It's secure income. Because I'm a parent now, right? And I would never want my children to suffer. Never. Because the last thing a parent wants is to reach to an age where they know they will pass away, knowing that one of their child is suffering financially, that they're dependent on someone. Which is why parents always say, hey, listen, take the safe route, easy route. But once they realize that, okay, yeah, this kid is a barbarian, he's just going to do whatever he wants to do, then once he shows results, then they're fine with it. They're like, you know what? Cool. Just do whatever you're doing. So that's the thing. Like in the beginning, I say, don't tell anyone what you're doing. Don't tell your parents, because they don't want to know. You shouldn't be letting them know what you're doing, because it's your life. Live it the way you want. Once you have results, just show them, treat them to a nice dinner, nice vacation, whatever.
You going to teach your kids to trade?
I will. They see me do something on computer. I don't know. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
With the money you make from trading, do you have other investment assets you specifically look to put them into? So, for example, for me, what I'm looking to do and what I have been doing is I make money in crypto and I'll withdraw some of that and then start buying real estate with it. So almost go from like super high risk ropey thing to a physical tangible thing that's not going anywhere, that also creates passive income and appreciates.
Same, bro. Same. Like in the beginning, like we bought property in Canada, invested a lot in property in Pakistan. Now we're in Dubai. Just property. Commercial properties, renting them out, stuff like that. Or if I see like a great watch which has rumors to be discontinued, I'm going to buy it. Like this one right here, it's discontinued now. So that turned out to be a great investment, but just investing mainly in like properties, because like in our business is what I call, our business is in the air. It can be turned off like this. Some regulation comes in or some platform just shuts down. The whole thing is done. So that's for me, it's very important to just put money in something tangible, something physical where I know it's there. In rough times, I can just sell it, get my money out.
Do you think enough people do that?
No.
Is that because, in particular in Dubai, you see people flexing Lambos and all this other stupid shit?
Yeah.
Probably most of them, their wealth. What would your advice be to those types of younger guys who are maybe making a bit of money, but they're not really building wealth for the future?
Man, the thing is, I think those people lack a lot of mature mentors in their life. That's what they're lacking, because how old are you?
35.
35. Okay, so we came from a time when there was no YouTube, no Instagram, no Facebook, just nothing. We had no access to millionaires. No access. We just knew, some people out in the world have a lot of money. Now you open up your phone, you're going to find hundreds of people, millionaires, you can get in touch with. just by a message. Back then, that wasn't the case. So I'm lucky. Well, I'm not going to say I'm lucky, but I reached out to people like, okay, so when I moved to Dubai, we rented an office, and the owner of the office is some Indian guy, right? He has about 200 apartments here. He has 40 townhomes. And, just having a conversation with him, like, what should I invest in? Should I get these special cars or special? Why? He looked at me, he's like, why do you have a car? Why do you need a car? I'm like, it will go up in value. He's like, he just laughed at me, like knowing that I'm a retard, the way I was speaking to him. And he's like, listen, this is what I have. This is when I started, and it's better to just put your money in a product where you can use it for shelter later on. Now I'm like, that makes sense. And I think with social media as well, this has really like ruined the mentalities of people about this, like, quick returns. Quick return comes in, a lot of money, spend over here, spend over there, vacation car, whatever, then it's done. So we're lucky we're from a time where slow growth is much more appreciated. Because I'm going to be 40 in 3 years. And when I look at it now, I look at my portfolio of properties, I'm going to, okay, if I get to late 40s, I'm going to be thankful that in my 30s I did all this. Because when you're in your 40s and 50s, you don't care about cars. You don't give a about watches. You don't care about parties, none of that. You only care about, I have properties, my kids are good, parents are good, life is good.
What's the hardest job you've ever had?
Working on the oil rigs.
How much were you earning there? Well or not?
No, there was I think working on the oil rigs, I was making about like 7,000-8,000 a month. At that time, it was like great money. But we were doing 91 hours a week, -40, -35 degrees, missing family vacations, functions, anniversaries, all that.
Because I think back to when I was 18 doing like labouring in the UK, like across the summer, I think, whilst playing rugby and doing other stuff.
Oh, you play rugby?
Yeah. And
what position?
Centre. And I was getting paid £60 a day for like slave labour. I loved it. It was actually great fun.
Yeah.
But it was the hardest physical work I've ever done for like 8 hours a day and getting covered in shit. And I look back now and I think like it was fun, but it also gave me a great understanding of the value of money, which I think if people start making money from an early age, 18, 20, 25, whatever, quite quickly, you don't quite have that understanding of how the real world works. And then I also went to become an estate agent at 21, and my basic salary was £12,000 a year plus commission. So I was like, I look back now, I'm like, fuck. It's like, but it gives me a good perspective in terms of the reality of where I've come from where I am now. Whereas I think sometimes if people haven't been through that process, their view and understanding of the world is a bit warped. And I don't know if this relates to you. For me, I've got a massive fear about having to go back to like the corporate world. Yeah. So for a while, I used to have like my Trello board on my computer. I'd have a suit and tie photo to be like, if you fuck this up, that's you again.
That's you again.
So it's like, don't make this mistake. You have to like build a business, build wealth for the future, invest in assets, and like look long term.
Yeah, no, man, that's true. Like, I mean, if you've been through these hard, like I've worked on the oil rigs, I've worked in so from oil rigs, I was making like 7,000-8,000 a month, and then I worked in the car parts factory where 7,000-8,000 went down to $2,500 a month because I wanted to be close to the family. Then I started doing door-to-door sales. So all these hard works, I think everyone has to go through. So you appreciate work, you appreciate the hard work you do, you appreciate the money you make after you work hard. But then again, once you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm never going to go back there, then you're like, okay, you know what? I'm thankful to myself. I put myself through all this labor work, this extensive work, and now I'm in a place where I'm like, you know what? I did that, and now I'm here. Like a big example is we were, so in the beginning when I started trading, obviously lost a lot of money, this and that. And there was a time when we were living in an apartment, me and my wife my firstborn was along the way, first stages, and the rent of that apartment was $1,300. There was this 1 month we couldn't pay rent. Couldn't make it. I had like maybe $400 in my bank account. I told my wife, man, listen, rent's due in a week. Can't pay rent. Nothing. Didn't have any watch to sell. TV would sell for like $200, $300, whatever. And then this woman came to me and then she's like, listen, we can sell our wedding jewelry and pay rent. So I went out, we went from one pawn shop to another pawn shop, It was raining, just to see who will give us the best rate for this jewelry. I think the best rate we got was for like $1,200, sold the whole jewelry, $1,200, paid the rent. And I promised myself that I'm never coming back to this financial state again. And from that point, the momentum never stopped.
Do you think that was one of the things that was a catalyst for you that almost gave you so much pain and embarrassment? You're like, this has to change.
Yeah, bro. Like, I was so embarrassed not to even ask for money because I just needed $600-700 extra. I could have asked my father, my brother, my friends, whatever. But that ego in me, that manly ego we all have, it never allowed me to reach out for help. I should have, but then if I would have asked for help, then that would have instilled this thought that, okay, whenever you're in trouble, ask for help. But if you don't ask for help, you find a way. And that's where a warrior comes out. That, okay, you know what? We'll make it work. We'll figure this out. Because, at the end of the day, it's not about the embarrassment for you. It's the embarrassment your spouse has to face. And then that it trickles down. So you have to safeguard that. It's very, very important.
With you in the future, what's your plan in terms of safeguarding that? Just diversification of assets and different businesses?
Yeah, diversification, building different things. Like right now, okay, so we started trading, then we built a brokerage. We launched another product with that. We started a prop firm with that. So when you have a core business, you have to see that, okay, which other arms I can attach to this. So it creates an ecosystem. Right? Because of course you can have one thing that's going to make you money, and then you're like, okay, what can I add something to it so it becomes its own entity, but it's relatable. So if you have, let's say, a training or whatever, right? You have a training course, fine. Now you launch a product that's related to that training, and now you're like, okay, whoever buys the product, he will know about the training, or whoever comes into the training, they will know about the product. Then you launch more things. So if one, like Apple, great example. You have the AirPods. AirPods are useless without an iPhone. Perfect. Bet. You got the iPhone. Now you get the MacBook. It's all connected. Then you get the Apple VR. It's all connected. So you got to think of it that way. What more things I can add to my existing business so they all connect everyone together?
With that and adding things to businesses, how do you think AI is going to affect trading, and how has it affected it so far?
I don't think AI is going to affect trading in a way. Because, see, when you talk about day trading, it all depends on where price will move based on certain events in the market. AI, for the most part, it can predict where price will go, and AI's guess is just as good as mine, because price will only move up or down. That's it. It's not going to go in circles. It's not going to go diagonally. Imagine if it did. Then we need AI. But you don't need any program or something to tell you, okay, from here we will go bullish or bearish, up or down. It's basically just you do your analysis. Based on analysis, you think it's going to go bullish for the next 2 hours, 4 hours, or whatever. That's it. I think AI is going to come into play in a way like we're working on some things where we're like, okay, you have this artificial intelligence that's going to tell you that, okay, if you closed a trade in profit, it's going to map out where price went after that and give you a comprehensive breakdown that if you would have held or whatever, this would have been your outcome, or if you manage risk, this would have happened and whatnot.
So almost be able to coach you through the process in terms of how you can optimize more what you're doing.
Yeah, coaching, that's it. But there are a lot of guys out there who say that they have these profitable algos that will make them money. You must have been through them, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that. That's just one of those I was going to ask, is people will say and try and sell these trading bots. Like, I had a friend of mine who's got one that he apparently works that you can buy for $50K that trades on Bitcoin. And I was like, okay. It's like, if it works that well, then why are you selling it? Because I would just put loads of money in that and you print money endlessly, right?
Yeah.
I just wouldn't give it to anyone.
Yeah, exactly. If these, listen. So the top hedge funds, they have algos, bots that are monitored by quants on high six-figure payrolls, right? They are monitored by these super smart people. Because if a bot, an algorithm, is making you money, why would you sell it for 20,000? Why would you sell it for 50,000 if it's making you unlimited money? There's this fund called Medallion Fund. You heard about that?
Yeah.
Medallion Fund, right? That fund, they have this super algo that makes money. It's closed for people. You can't enter it now. If you wanted to enter back then, the minimum was like $250,000, then they raised it to 2 million, then they raised it to $1 billion. They're okay, this is the lowest you can come in with. Because it's going to make you money, and if you're serious about money, you got to put in serious money. Because we're putting serious work in. So it's... Whenever someone tells me, oh, Raja, have this magic algorithm, I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever, fine, keep it.
How much do you think the markets are manipulated by some of the big players and big businesses involved in it?
Massively manipulated, massively, and we see it every day. Because let's say, for example, you have the biggest news event that happens in the first week of the month. It's NFP, right? Non-farm payrolls. NFP, massive movements happen. We know 100%. Someone already knows what the numbers are going to be.
Because someone will.
Someone will, obviously, right? Someone's going to print those numbers, and a group already knows what impact that's going to have on gold or on USD or on indices. They already know. Jerome Powell comes up after 30 minutes after FMC's announced, and whatever he says, price moves based on that. Like if he says, this is good for the economy and the inflation, we're going to combat inflation. Combating inflation means dollar's going to go up and gold's going to drop. Someone knows what he's going to say, and someone's already in those orders. So it's an unfair playing field if you think about what the biggest guys are doing versus what we have to do. So it's always manipulated.
Do you think anything will change with that? Because it's technically like insider trading.
No.
It's just human nature.
Just human nature. Insider trading just gets more insight. The circle just gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
And with, to go into some different topics, in terms of with you and the business success you've had, what's the biggest things that have driven you to where you are? You've obviously got big social media audiences. What's been the big roadmap that pushed you into social media first?
I never asked to have a following. I never wanted to have a course. I never wanted to be an influencer. It's just like when I first started in the beginning, So in the beginning when I started my Instagram name with for fun, we had like a girl name, whatever, and we would post a picture of a girl, like, hey, I'm a girl, whatever, I'm trading, whatever. Then it got some following, and then I started posting seriously just my trades and explanations, why I'm taking this trade, why this and that. And people found value in that, right? They found value in that. Then they started following me. They started asking me questions, and then someone asked me, hey, do you teach? I'm like, I don't teach, but I can go over a Zoom call and help you with, and then I started to do that. And then more people started asking me, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll do a presentation for you guys for free. I did that. And then people waste your time. And I'm like, I bet they waste my time, no problem. $300 presentation, $300, join if you want, don't join. And that's how it just grew and started.
What would you say to people who are afraid of starting something like that? Because I think this is the biggest thing that kneecaps most people, is they're too afraid to take the first step, to try something, and they have this vision of what they want to do, but they're too afraid that the whole thing's not planned out perfectly.
Yeah.
The way I feel is that I've always known exactly where I'm going. I don't know the exact steps yet, but when I take the first step, the next stepping stone appears, and you just figure it out as you go along.
Yeah, I think a lot of people need to stop being a bitch, man. It's because I can tell you this much. I know a lot of guys who have business profiles. They'll post once a week or whatever, and I tell them this and I think this is something you can agree with me too, that if you hold your phone like this, and if you make a video and you tell someone that you have the best service in the world and this will transform their business or the shape or whatever, there's 100% probability someone will buy it from you because they saw your video. I think that's what really holding people back to really express themselves in that way. And I tell the guys all the time, man, social media now, this is a tool that can transform your business. It can transform your life. It can transform anything that you're trying to do. Because, man, it's I don't know where I heard this, but someone said that posting reels is like a lottery ticket. You never know which will go viral. And the shittiest video can get millions of views, and the best perfected video can get nothing. Right?
100%.
Right? You're like, man, I put too much time in this video. It's got 2,000 views, but this shitty video got 500,000 views.
And we even had that recently with our Instagram account for the podcast, Charlie Johnston Show. We had a random clip just trying to get 1.5 million views out of the blue.
Yeah.
Like from nowhere. It's only a small account. And I think that's an example in terms of if you don't buy tickets to the lottery, you can't win.
Yeah.
Most people are too afraid and don't even make it to the starting line. And I think that's the thing I say to anyone is that you have to build up momentum, because once you start something and even if you see a little bit of progress, same as trading, right? It gets addictive. You're like, well, I can do this. It's like proof of concept.
Yeah, exactly. And like, never aim for the perfect video or the perfect moment, because I think that's what holds most people back. That, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and so I have this buddy of mine, right? He has this car body shop where they do PPF and this and that, and they never show them applying PPFs. And he's probably watching this now, and I tell them all the time, man, like, your business page looks like a car showroom, because you're just showing before and after. It's looking like a car showroom, and the main thing is, guys think, oh, what will so and so think, what will some people think? Man, who gives a fuck what people thinks? Like, people think about you maybe 1% in their day. That's it. No one thinks about us. Nobody. They only think about us when they see us on the phone. That's it. And once you break that barrier, it just changes so many things. I tell guys all the time, man, just take a chance. Take a chance, make a video. If you don't like it, just leave it on there and make a new one. And over time, you start to get better at speaking, better at delivering information, because a lot of it has also to do with your tone, the tone that you use. In the beginning, it's going to be monotone, but then once you keep on listening to yourself, you're going to say, okay, you know what, maybe this word, I could have said it this way or that way. And then the videos just start get better and better.
With what you've done in terms of from a business perspective, what's been the most challenging thing you had to do at the start in terms of scaling up these different businesses?
The hardest thing was to introduce new platforms, so obviously like, our core business is Dominion Markets, like our forex broker. That's the core business. We had to part ways with a platform provider that is the biggest in the world, but their tech is still kind of like, seems like Windows 98 type stuff. So we had to move to a newer platform, which is more innovative and more like, I'd say, like modern, like TradingView type, modern. So we had to move there. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, a lot of our clients are more used to this older platform. How do we introduce this new platform? So then we started to do was, I bought a TV. I bought an interactive touchscreen TV. You must have seen some of my reviews, right?
Ones,
I bought that, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to give real education on this TV showing just this platform. And that's what I did. And man, when I started to do that, the views went from 50,000 to 200,000, 300,000. And people started asking, oh, what platform is this? We're like, oh yeah, this is this platform. You can do this over here, that over there. And I think that was the most challenging part, because you had to now think outside of the box, that you've lost one core platform, where you had 40% of your business, and now you have this new thing. You just have to introduce it in a way where it's fresh, refreshing, and people find more value in it. So that was the hardest thing, and we battled with that by making videos on social media.
And just providing value in the videos to slowly warm people up to the platform.
That's it. Value. And I think most people hold themselves back in business as well, is because they say, oh, you know what? I don't want to say this because this is something in my course. I don't want to give this value. No, you give everything to people. When you give everything to people, they will say, okay, I want to learn the same thing from him one-on-one now. Because there are a lot of things I talk about in my videos, which are in the course, in my paid course, but I talk about them. But that attracts more people now, that, okay, you know what, I wonder if this is explained in more detail, and it is. So that helps a lot.
Who have been the biggest mentors for you in terms of scaling your business and also from learning from a trading perspective?
My mentor in the beginning in trading was a guy from Canada. I'm not going to name him. And he helped me a lot. He helped me a lot in like mentoring how to, basically, when I started our education business, I started from his model. At that point, I didn't knew any other models, but I think they were still there. They were there, but I only knew this one, that, okay, one-time payment, lifetime, whatever, did that. And then now the thing with lifetime payments for education business is that 5 years down the road, someone who paid in the first year will think he owns you because he paid that lifetime thing, and then I had to change that to subscription model, which is way better, easier, low, but you get that residual in, and someone can join and leave in the first month if they like it or not, right? That setting up our broker business as well, had a mentor help me, guide me. In the beginning, I paid a lot of fees, but those fees were to like set up the business, right? Same thing, like anything you start in life, you have to have someone who's going to give you unfiltered advice, because there's going to be some people who will not give you all the advice because they may start to look at you as competition. So it's very important to connect with people who don't look at you as competition, who look at the world as like the world is way too big for all of us to eat like a buffet. Like a lot of guys look at the world in like a very close-minded thing that, okay, no, I'm not going to tell him this because then he's going to become my competition. It's not about that. Like, we all can eat at the same table at the same time, abundantly.
What you said there about mentors holding people back, I see that quite a lot sometimes when I think I've probably experienced that in the past where they can feel you're looking to surpass them, and I've had problems with that in the past where I have surpassed people. And I think that's actually the job of any good mentor, is to help the mentee go past them, because you taught them the skills, right? What was when you first started investing in mentors, was there some sitting on the fence in terms of like whether you should invest money in this? Is it a scam? Because that's something a lot of people are afraid of doing, is investing themselves, because probably similar, like my parents, probably similar to yours, were like, why would you pay someone $10,000 to teach you to do this? This is insane.
Yeah, there you we just watch a video. Yeah. Look, to be honest, the most I paid for mentorship was, the first one I paid was $350. Yeah. And this was someone who was older than me, because I have this very old school thinking that if I want to learn something, I want to learn something from someone who is older than me, who has more experience. I'm going to connect better, and I'm going to look at the guy as like a big brother, right? And they'll be able to guide me like they're younger or whatever. That's my concept. But now recently my mind has shifted. Recently I took a course on affiliate marketing. I paid about $5,500. I knew most about affiliate marketing, but there was this one thing I learned in that I didn't know. And I'm like, wow, this is something that can change my affiliate marketing business. So in a way I paid $5,500 to learn that one small thing. And to me, that was like, yes, I needed that.
Dude, I've done that with so many things. I flew to an event in California last year in May. The whole trip probably cost me like 30 grand. Someone said, Bedros Keuilian said one thing to me. I'm like, that's the thing. That's what I flew here for. And I think that's all you need to do sometimes, put yourself in the right environment, meet the right people, and someone can say one thing to you can literally change your life. Yeah, no,
it's very important, man. Like a lot of guys say, how do you network with people who are up there? I'm like, you need to pay to network. There's no such thing as free networking. Let me get this straight. There's no such thing as free networking. If you don't have any money, you're broke. You want to network, you got to pay to network. So we're taking a part in this leadership some event that's happening in the UAE on the 22nd February. I forget the name. And the entry price is like 10,000 dirhams. That's the entry price. If you want to come over there. And I'm like, oh, perfect, I'll pay this amount. I spoke to the guy on the phone, and he told me that the reason it's at 10,000, so we just don't get anyone coming through the door. We want people to come in through the door who can afford 10,000 for a day just to network, and that's how you get in special rooms, right? Because you look at any high level networking event, it's going to be at like $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, but the people you're going to meet there are the ones who are able to pay that amount to learn something from someone, right? So just like the event we did with Will. Yeah. Will paid an amount. That's how I met you. I met some other great people there, and we're still in contact.
And I think that's where people need to stop thinking, what will it cost, but what will it cause? Because all the events, all this different stuff I go to, the different connections I have from it, I look back sometimes, I'm like, how did I end up doing like X, Y, Z? And it's like, oh, I met this person through him, and I met him through him.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, that's one of the wonderful magnifier, multitude effects you can get, I think, in particular in somewhere like Dubai. Has you moving to Dubai helped you in terms of growing a business from that perspective?
Yeah, massively, because I feel like, I haven't lived in Miami for a long time. We just went for like boot camps, visits, whatever. But living over here, it's like the Miami of Middle East. It's like a lot of key players come through Dubai. A lot of key players, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's online trading, meme coin, whatever, business, investing, whatever, they all come through and go through Dubai. I think Dubai is the only place where you can go through any regular coffee shop and you'd be sitting with someone who has just done a multi-million-dollar deal, right? And if you interact with someone like that, they'll be more open to talk to you. Talk to you to see that, okay, how can we network? How can we work together? But any other place, like let's say in Canada, you can't do that. If you talk to someone, what do you want from me?
Have you been to the UK?
I've been to the UK. It's a shithole.
Yeah, so that's like so this is a British thing. So I found this really weird when I first.
Wait. It's not a shithole. Sorry, it's a very mean thing to say, but some people may agree with that. But people seem more aggressive over there.
Yeah, so this sort of always goes where I was going to go. So the first few times I started going to the US, people start talking to me. I'm like, what the f*** do you want? Because you're just culturally not used to people you don't know talking to. You're almost they're going to try and steal something or they want something. Whereas when you live in, say, for example, Dubai, everyone just talks to each other and it's a very open and collaborative environment. Whereas the UK, people have a very closed mindset where they don't want to share information, they don't want to help each other. And I think a big part of that, of why Dubai is so great for entrepreneurs, is the fact that everyone in here is for the same reason. Everyone knows why they're here. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone's also an expat, so they've also moved here from their home country. So everyone was in the boat of being the first person here at some point. So they're very much keen to help other people connect. And I think that's probably the biggest business advantage you have here, obviously alongside the tax situation.
Yeah, that's true. I've met some amazing people. We've done some good business. We've networked. I actually met, in the prop space, trading space, prop firm space, one of my really good friends, he owns the number 2 prop firm in the world. And I wouldn't have never met him if I would have never came to Dubai. He helped me set up our firm now, and he never looked at me in the way, okay, you're going to compete with me. He just said, man, listen, do this, and your margins are good over here, they're not good over here, and do this rule, this, whatever. So that sort of networking helps a lot.
How long did that conversation take him?
Conversation, this was I think the 5th meeting, 5th or 6th time we met, sheesh, food, whatever. So now we're really good friends. So.
And I think that's also the value where people want to help each other here. And even if you're from different fields, we mentioned some stuff to do with Instagram earlier, you could do X, Y, Z. It's people have specialist knowledge in different areas where you can have a collaborative effect, even if you're from a different industry. Yeah,
exactly. You'll meet so many guys from different backgrounds, places. Man, Dubai is like the Walmart of talent. It's like a Walmart of talent. Wherever you go, wherever you sit, there's going to be someone who's a master in something. And in some way you can connect or adapt. Let's say you have a realtor with a list of people, whatever, in a way you can collaborate with him and offer them services to their clients. Or if you run some sort of sales agency, you can help each other. So I think it's not even about moving to Dubai, it's about moving in general. Because if you look at the human civilization, right? We were all nomads in the beginning. We would move from place to place for an opportunity for cleaner water, opportunity for more hunting opportunities for food. We all moved, right? So if you migrated. So if you stay in one place, you're never going to grow. You're never going to know what's outside of your bubble. For example, right? So when we first moved to Canada, we moved to a place called Prince Edward Island. You heard about that?
No.
Yeah, it's very small. It's a province in Canada, like Alberta.
Yeah.
Imagine, right? So we moved over there. We moved over there in 2010, and the people I met there, they are still in that place, haven't moved. For them to travel to Toronto for vacation was a huge thing. So imagine moving to Dubai, from Prince Edward Island. They haven't moved there. So that's the thing. If you really want to grow, if you really want to know what you're really good at, you have to move, have different experiences with different people, network from place to place, and you never know what you're going to find.
I think the most important thing about changing your environment is the law of exposure. Once you're exposed to something, you can't be unexposed. So you come to Dubai, if I drive into the car park of my building, there's Bugatti Veyrons, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Rolls, everywhere. So people in the UK have a fear mindset, there's no money in the world, and clearly there's loads of money in the world. And I live in Dubai Marina, I look out in the super yachts and stuff everywhere. There is no shortage of wealth. And I think even the more you travel, I went to Courchevel in December, and it's probably the most expensive place I've ever been for food. I was what
was it?
Courchevel, a ski resort. And
where was it?
In the French Alps. And it's I went for dinner at this restaurant, and I think the Diet Coke was like 25 euros.
Euros.
And I was like, Jesus. And I was like, I think a room in the hotel was 5,000 euros a night. I didn't stay there. But it was like the whole thing was maxed out.
Yeah.
The buffet was 400 euros if you wanted to have dinner in the restaurant. And the whole thing's full. So people have this preconceived idea that there is no money in the world, but that's just what you've been exposed to. So if you change your environment, you then suddenly see what's possible, which I think is, we mentioned like social media earlier. One of the best things about that is you now have access to be exposed to by some of these things if you actually look for it.
Yeah, but also, man, think about the people who eat at that place, $400 buffet.
I don't care.
They don't care. So that's the place where you want to sit. That's the place you want to be, because who knows who you're going to meet, right? Who knows what sort of a business deal you can do or collaboration you can do. Like, it's like, those things. That's what I tell guys. Like, if you really want to grow, you should be able to spend some money to network, spend some money to go to places where you want to be around people which you, man, like, look, when I was in Canada, a good family friend of ours, he bought an Audi R8. This was like a $150,000 car. And we were like, wow, man, this guy bought a $150,000 car, Audi R8. Wow, that's a lot of money. We can never buy that car, man. Wow, it's crazy. But when you move to a place like Dubai, an Audi R8 over here is literally like a
Average.
No one cares. No one even bats an eye at an Audi R8, because now you got these Lamborghinis going, you got Uruses and Pure Sangways, like $700,000. Like, my God, like your perspective is so skewed, and that's where you realize, man, like these are just regular people like me who bleed the same. They breathe the same oxygen. They're going to go in the same ground like me. And if someone can do all this in their lifetime, why can't I have this? Why can't I do the same? But I think we're just limited with these thoughts of like, this isn't for us. It's too much money. What are we going to do with this money? What can you not do with all this money? Like, people say, oh, like money's bad, money's evil. But man, with money, you build churches, you build mosques, you build orphanages, you give to charity, you help people around the world. So I think we should all think about that. Okay, how can we continue to make more money?
Money is energy, and money solves problems. So if you have, people don't want more money until they need it. So say, for example, if someone's listening or watching this and you're in a position where you're like, well, I'm pretty comfortable, I make 20, 30,000 pounds a month, whatever it might be. But then imagine your mum or dad gets really sick and you need to spend hundreds of thousands for their medical care and you can't afford it. How would you feel? Or how would you feel a few years later on when you actually could afford it and you were the person who could step in and solve that problem?
Yeah.
A good example is a good friend of mine, Frank. His father had, I think, a cycling accident in Portugal, fell over and hit his head and got put in a coma and was put in a hospital in Portugal. He had a specialist look at his father and was literally like, if he doesn't get taken out of this crap hospital, he's going to die. Frank paid, I think, 180,000 euros to fly a medical plane to get him back to the Netherlands, which saved his life.
Medical plane.
Yeah, but Frank's baller, his business does very well, so he could afford it. But he can afford to solve that problem because he put in the work to get the resources to be able to provide for his family.
Yeah, man, that's it. Like, if you have a problem, someone told me you got problems, throw money at the problem. This problem is going to go away. That's it at the end of the day.
Do you think people have a weird financial thermostat? So for example, they can only have a certain amount of money in their bank account or a certain amount of net worth, and they start to almost like mind themselves out of that.
Like what? Like having...
So say like they've got, I don't know, 100k in the bank account and they're like, oh, and then however they do it, they stop working as hard as they should be, or they start overspending, so they get comfortable and they don't allow themselves to get into like the next level. Yeah,
it's like a mental barrier they have. Like, okay, they can't. It's like, it's like in trading. In trading, I had a mental barrier with the $10,000. I couldn't go above $10,000, and then it went to like 50,000. But that took years. Like for like 3 years, I was stuck at $100,000 limit. I couldn't break above from it, But I think the biggest issue was that I wasn't exposed to people with more than that, because once you get exposed to people with more than that, then you're like, okay, you know what? Like I can literally do this more. And you really need to understand this as well. Like, okay, if someone's stuck at, like they got $100,000 in the bank account, they're like very calm, they're like very comfortable at that. When they meet someone who's spending $100K every quarter on his marketing or like 100K every month on marketing expenses, just look at that, you're like, man, what the like there is a different level to that, like, you know, and then you can learn so much from that one person.
This guy came on our podcast recently. I won't say who it was, but he said to me very casually, I realized I couldn't afford my private jet when I had 275 million cash in my bank account. And I was like, what the my mind like melted from it. And I was like, because I've never heard someone talk so casually about that amount of money in their bank account. So I was like, well, he's a human being. He might be 15 years older than me. But then, like you said, once you physically see someone in person, like, well, if he can do it, then I can do it. And I think the human brain is looking for proof of concept. And then if you can see proof of concept is where you need to go all in on life. But I think this is the problem, that fear comes up. And sometimes people have a thermostat of like, oh, I'm getting a bit too successful. Maybe I'll just like chill out and not work so hard.
Yeah. Like the smallest example, bro, is this. Like you go to a restaurant. You go to like a nice restaurant. You go with your friends, you know. You go with your... Sometimes I go with my regular friends to a restaurant. You know, go to a restaurant and I can notice this difference. Like there's me and my other buddy who does well, and then we got some regular friends. Like, you know, there's a difference how people look at the menu, right? I will not look at the menu. Where is it going to come up? And I'm going to say, okay, what's good in chicken that you have? Because he's going to know what's fresh. And he's going to tell me, okay, this. I'm like, okay, go get it. But regular friends are going to look at the menu. They look at the prices. They're like, oh, yeah, this is this much. This is this much. So that's like, if you like, once you get exposed to something where you have, let's say, like money in abundance, you stop looking at prices, because then you're like, okay, like, you know what? This is all energy. Like if I expel this energy on this food item, whatever, I'm probably going to get more of that back tomorrow or a week from now. You know, so this is what you said. Like once you get exposed to someone who's just casually just orders whatever the you want to order, you know, compared to someone who's going to choose what they want to order, like, this, like, you know, you need to mentally like break away from those. Like I call it like a monetary chain that you're tied to. Like, you know, the more you're worried about something that you don't have, you're never going to get more of it. You know, but when you just casually say, okay, you know what, I'm going to spend this much on a course and I'm going to spend this much on the vacation. Of course, it costs a substantial amount, but then I'm going to be creative enough to adopt some processes where I can make that back.
It's even a way I gamify the process. Even if I fly like business or first class and like the flights are expensive, I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to LA next Monday or something. It's like 15 grand there and back. And I was like, okay, that's quite a lot for a flight. But it's like, I can make that money back on the plane, because I'll just work for 6 hours and like figure out how can I work this back and just sit and concentrate.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I try and gamify the process. And I think if you look at money the right way in terms of investing yourself, protecting your energy, also protecting your health, I think it then comes back to you in a big way.
Yeah, you think that a lot of people have a hard time moving from a set amount of pay coming in to actually starting
100%. So like, particularly I work with a lot of people who have online fitness businesses, and the big thing they struggle with is the ups and downs of income. Like my income fluctuates wildly, like
100%.
6 figures a month sometimes, and it's like, I'm like numb to it. It just is what it is. And that's also why, like we spoke about earlier, about like invest into other assets that you can then make money from. But I think this is also where people need to be financially responsible. Like I see people with fitness coaches who make, I don't know, 20K a month, for example, spending 10 grand on flights. I'm like, dude, you should definitely be going economy. You need to save your life, because there's no guarantee next month you're going to have a good month. So if you're going to invest in something, you invest into skills or invest into the business, not things that are going to be a luxury that you can flex on Instagram. I think that for me is a big place where I try and teach people the right way in terms of like utilizing the resources they have to get to essentially like a freedom amount where you have enough financial net worth that you don't really have to work.
Yeah, and also like, you know, don't try to compete with people.
You're never going to win in Dubai.
There's no competition. Man, sometimes I'm driving my car. I got a Ferrari. I'm driving my car and I'll see a number plate on some Nissan which costs more than a Ferrari.
Like a one.
Like a one. Or like even like two.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just humbled right there. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, okay. Change lanes. Take exit, go away. You know, so you can't compete. There's no competition. The only thing you're competing is with yourself versus what you were yesterday. That's the only competition you have. Are you getting better today than what you were yesterday? That's it. You stay on your lane, focus, and just keep on driving.
How important do you think is people track their net worth?
Track
their net worth, like their finances.
Track.
Yeah.
So important, man. Like I look at my bank account twice a day. Twice a day, I'll look at my ledger. Twice a day, I'll look at my trading account. Twice a day, I'll look at all my bank accounts. I'll see exactly how much money I have in my bank accounts. You know, a lot of people don't, and this is something I used to do. I used to never look at my bank account because I'd be too embarrassed to see what was in there. But the day I think this is what Grant Cardone said. Like, you know Grant Cardone?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, this is what Grant Cardone said, that if you're not going to pay attention where it matters, it's never going to pay attention to you. You know, so if the day I started paying attention to my bank account, I started noticing how much is going out and how much is coming in. So I started focusing on, okay, let's increase these incoming streams, you know, which is why I went from, when I was working on the car parts factory, went into door-to-door sales, and there was commission only, right? And with that, I knew that, okay, now I can make more money coming in. I'm like, okay, so during this day, I'm working, I'm making money coming in. Now I have 4 hours at evening time. How can I start something that in evening time, more money starts to come in the bank account? Like, and that's the flip switch in my mind. This is what I have to do. I have all these hours. How can I make sure just more and more keeps coming in the bank account?
It's funny you say that, because where focus goes, energy goes.
Yeah.
And similar to like you with that job, the same for me is when I was an estate agent. It's like, how can I make more money outside of work? I was like, okay, I'll set up an online fitness business using social media.
Yeah.
And then I created my online business. Then it was a side hustle, then became the main thing. I think I left my job 25th of February 2019. I think from that day onwards, it's been a journey and adventure. And I think probably similar for you from a trading perspective in business. There's highs, there's lows, but I think people need to understand that probably the bigger, I don't know if you agree with this, the more success you have, probably the more extreme some of those things get in terms of like the highs are higher and the lows are even shit, right?
Fuck, man. They're so low. But it's the same thing. You say you get numb to that, you know? You get numb to a loss, you get numb to a failure. Just keep on just doing what you're doing and just whatever, you know? It's just like a learning lesson.
What's the best thing money's done for you that you've made?
The best thing?
Yeah.
This is what I tell my siblings. I tell my siblings that if anything happens to you guys, your kids are set for life. You don't have to worry about them. You know, that's the one thing that has done for me.
I love that.
You know, money is very, very important. But people say it's not important. Man, it is so important, having money. And also, in the world we live in now, it's very important to have a following and not need it, rather than to not have a following and need it one day. Like, you got like 500,000 followers plus, you know, and you know, if things go to shit, you're just one product away from bouncing back.
I think that's where everyone's always one idea away, one action away, and it's actually taking the action, the thing that's going to get into the position. Last question I want to ask you is, if you were going to give one piece of advice to manage your mindset with trading, what would it be?
One piece of advice to manage your mindset in trading. It's probably going to be something I say all the time. Just focus on 1 or 2 trades a day and just one session. Because, you know, when you're trading, you are emotionally involved in money, right? It's emotional money management. And psychologically, us humans, we can only make 1 or 2 rational, emotional decisions in a day. So when you're making decisions around money, it's an emotional decision. Even if you're down $1, you're like, oh man, like from 500, I'm at 499 now. This looks bad. So you just gotta focus on 1 or 2 trades a day. That is it. If it doesn't work for you after like 2-3 months, just go back to your retard way of trading. Doesn't make a difference, you know, but it will work, and you will say, okay, like, you know, this is awesome. You just gotta do 1 or 2 trades. Perfect. It works all the time.
One last thing. What do you think is going to happen with Trump coming in as president today? How do you think that's going to affect all the markets across the board, crypto, gold, everything over the next few months?
You know, last night we did a mentorship call with our students, members, and we looked at 20th January 2017, what happened to gold, because we primarily trade gold. What happened to gold on the 20th? Nothing. No huge spikes, no call, nothing. And I was looking at it like, I guess nothing happened. So
price is factored in, probably,
but see, everyone's expecting something to happen, but I think more fireworks are going to happen when their policies are more set in stone, right? You know, like their policies with trade with the Canada, trade with China, and like, you know, all this is going to happen. Because I remember when Trump came in, he would just tweet, like, you know, there was a group in the US, they created an index on Trump tweets, and that index measured the amount of volatility a tweet is going to cause, right? And that index moved based on what Trump would tweet. Like if he would say China, trade, or whatever, that index would move, and those guys would just trade that index. Trump Twitter index. I don't know what it was called. So, and I tell guys now that the next 3 years are going to be one of the best years when it comes to day trading. The best years.
I agree 100%. Big thank you for your time today. What's the best place for people to find out about you?
Man, I'm on Instagram, Raja Banks, YouTube, Raja Banks, TikTok, Twitter, Raja Banks. All on social media. All. Like, look, some guys may think that they're too old to be on social media. Man, Grant Cardone, he's in his 60s. You know, he's there.
Donald Trump's on social media.
Donald Trump's on social media. You know, so it's not a kid's thing to do. I'm going to be 40. I'm on 4 platforms. I'm active, you know, so just get it done, and it's literally going to change the course of your life and the way you do things.
100%. Make sure you give Roger a follow. If you took value from this, smash the like button, comment below any questions, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next episode very soon. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
No, that was really great.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Very, very good.
Really good.